Hey everybody, it's honestly nighttime. So I just wanted to record a quick little video after work, just rambling and talking about the latest Hunt Showdown event, Road to Hell. It's a bit late, forgive me if I'm low energy, but I want to talk about this latest event because honestly, I'm having so much fucking fun with it. I haven't been this addicted to Hunt Showdown in a while, and this plays with an event since maybe the first Post Malone Circus. So I wanted to talk about it, talk about the features and changes that they implemented, and give Crytek credit where credit's due. And I also wanted to make this video because a lot of the content I make on this channel is admittedly very negative, and I critique a lot of the games I play. For example, I was disappointed with Resident Evil 9 Requiem. I critique DVD now and then. And for the last event for Hunt Showdown, Devil's Trail was one that I was honestly very underwhelmed by, and I thought it was fucking boring. Um, Other than the Inferno, but even with the return of that, it wasn't as hype as like the Downpour. I found that the fire wasn't as dynamic and it was just boring. So I want to talk about Road to Hell though, because there's a lot of cool stuff that they added. So firstly, the aesthetic is kind of like this Civil War, World War One type trench warfare aesthetic, and it's not one that I'm particularly like very hyped about, but I thought they did a home run on it, and it kind of got me going, hearing like the new Port Sulphur song, and when you ready up and they have like the little salute sound. Um, it was implemented very well, so I want to talk about that. I could probably just start with like the new compound. So the new compound for the event is like this stronghold that they added, and it's this essentially usually like a tower with multiple rooms in there, like bunkers and stuff, that you have to hold down with a uncaged boss target, which is basically like a bounty clash boss. It is a boss that is dead already there, and you go up to it and banish it. And surrounding that compound is basically a myriad of trenches that lead all throughout, as well as some camps and stuff with pledge marks. There's the Destiny Dial as well. So I find this compound to be so fucking awesome. And when Crytek first revealed that with the Inferno, that they're actually going to put it on pause for this next event, they're not going to have that as a weather condition, I was low-key pissed as fuck. Basically, this was all the last event was about, and it was the only good thing about that event for like 3 months. And then they're going to take it away right away. I thought they were going to, make changes and keep them in the game and add them to base game, but, they said it was due to them adding a lot of these trenches and changing the map a lot. And if I had to pick and choose, man, I am so impressed with the trenches they added and the map changes. I guess I'm getting ahead of myself, but there's that compound, but there's also like little sections of trenches and bunkers and stuff throughout the world. Some that come off the top of my head are, I think there is some right in front of Orogoro, like in between that and what's that one compound? The quarry right underneath it. There's also some that are in between the Nichols prison and I think it's what's the name of that compound? Like West Run or something like that on Lawson. So they're all scattered throughout, and I think that's really sick. But the compound itself is fucking huge. Like it is a battlefield or a battleground, and man, I'm gonna be sad when they take it away. I find it to be so cool. They have like the new machine gun they added, which is basically like an automat on steroids with flame ammo, and it overheats and stuff, but you can't take it with you and extract with it. You have to just keep it in the world, so it's like a world weapon. But yeah, I find fighting in the trenches and the stronghold to be really fun. There's been a bit of critique on it because some people are saying that with a lot of their games, they're getting people that kind of just book it to the stronghold and banish and get the bounty and leave. And now with the balloons, I gotta talk about as well, but I find this to be something that happens honestly with like every event. People usually do just rush the new compound, and I don't know how that plays because I kind of miss the old, like, you still get games like this, don't get me wrong, but I miss when the boss layer was like the main central hub. But that being said, I mean, I don't mind having fights at this compound while it lasts, and I believe they're also going to add it to Bounty Clash, just FYI. No, I don't mind fighting in it. I don't find it to be that big of a problem because I usually get like maybe 1 or 2 teams going there and then another team going to the boss layer. So it does split up the fights a little bit, like the pacing of the match, but I still managed to get good fights kind of everywhere. So I don't know really know. I haven't experienced what a lot of people are complaining about, but yeah, the stronghold is really fucking sick. I love the new weapons they added. I love the trenches that they added, and I kind of wish they keep them in the game because they're so sick to fight in. Another thing, oh, I kind of want to talk about it because there's actually variations to this. I know they sent out polls before talking about what people would prefer because I know a lot of their event compounds, some of them they didn't really have variations, but they had like locations. So for example, like the circus was kind of had different spots they can spawn in, same with the Battle Weaver nest. But the inside wasn't that varied, Fool's Hideout as well. But this stronghold has like maybe, how much is it? I don't know off the top of my head, around like 5 different variations, and they're all super memorable and really sick. You have ones that, for example, the caged boss is in the basement of the compound, and you can get into that basement through the trenches themselves, through like iron gates. So it's like in the basement. You have one really unique one that is on the bridge between Ironworks and Montrose Mall, I think it is. No, fuck, what is that compound? It's on the left side of Lawson. I completely forgot, but it's on that big bridge that kind of overlooks the whole main middle bayou section by Fort. But that's a really fun layout as well because when you go on the side of that bridge, it's like there's like a side path and then there's like the compound itself kind of raised up on the right side of that bridge. It's just so sick, man. I'm really having a blast fighting in these compounds. And it reminds me a lot of the Bow Weaver compounds, like the little variations they added, but I find this to be even more fun to fight in. So I've kind of glazed it for 5 minutes straight, but I really do enjoy fighting in them. Another thing I want to talk about is with the mid-chapter patch, they added the balloons, which is essentially now in those strongholds, there is a balloon, which you can load up those cargo crates that were previously you kind of had to carry them to extracts to get either like special ammo drops or special weapon drops, etc. There's also like the cash crates. But with this balloon system, you can load them onto the balloon up to 4. And then you have to turn up to 3 dials. You can also only turn on 1, but it fills up the balloon slower. But these dials basically fill up the balloon with helium. And at a certain point, you can load those crates up, and when the balloon is ready to be launched, you can hold your interact button and send the balloon up, and kind of just extract the loot that you had, which is really fun. I thought that was a fun mechanic. I haven't had battles where like I've had to fight over the balloon as much. And you can also extract the bounty token you get from the stronghold or any other bounty token on it. And to be honest, that is probably my one complaint about this balloon. Aesthetically, it's really fun seeing the balloon across the map fly up and people are kind of rushing to fight over it. But I don't like that teams are able to just banish and quickly extract kind of scot-free. Because what I've noticed a lot of people doing as they get to the compound, they crank a lot of the levers, and then they just put the bounty token in the balloon as soon as it's ready and launch it. And it's just a free bounty for them, and I feel like that's kind of... I don't like when... I don't know, I want hunters to be fighting over, like, bounty tokens need to be something that is earned and you have to fight for, and it has to be like the motivation for the game. You know, we can't be having too much side objectives in this game. Like, obviously, like the cash registers is a big thing that used to be a problem, but I noticed, yeah, that's the thing with a lot of these teams. They just load up their cargo crates and bounties and they just head out. So if they were to keep this in the future, I would keep everything except remove the ability to extract the bounty token. I think it's more rewarding if teams would have to, and better for the game, if they just have to run to an extract and extract like that. And so they have more chances to fight over it, because you can't really chariot a balloon or anything. The other thing I want to talk about with this event is the loadout changes. And I talked a bit about them in one of my previous videos, but just to summarize, this is such a huge change for Hunt Showdown. This fundamentally changes the way you create your loadouts. And it's something that's awesome. So if you don't know for some reason, they changed how loadouts work. So instead of the large weapon, medium weapon, small weapon system they had going, and tools and consumables, they basically gave weapons a value from 1 to 5 based off their strength, essentially. And you can only pick up to 5 or 6 with Quartermaster, I believe. This is meant to, in their words, kind of encourage a lot of build variety while also kind of limiting a lot of the stronger choices. And they also, as another change for the tools and consumables, they combine them. So now you just get kind of 8 slots. And there's some limits to the amount of stuff you can carry at a time, but for example, like you can't carry 8 beetles, you have a max of 4. Same with the tarot cards, like consumable stuff like that. Um, but you can kind of mix and match more, so they give you a lot of freedom. And overall, I think this is really good for the game. I don't agree with all of the changes, which I'll get into, but this is a good change for the game. I think it's really good for balance, actually, and hopefully can give weapons that are underused a bit more of a niche where players can pick them up, while also kind of limiting stronger loadouts, and just preventing people from running the most broken shit every game. You know, I'm a 6-star on PS5, and I personally don't really notice a lot of like Mo's and Dolch. I got a lot of Auto 5. I don't get a lot of Maynard, but I know people kind of complain about these really strong weapons. A lot of them are now actually tier 5, so the Auto 5, the Nitro, the Automat, and the Maynard Silenced are all 5 given a 5 value, so you can't even run them with a secondary without Core Master. So my thoughts, I think number 1, these 5 weapons, to be honest, like they're strong, but a lot of them are kind of meme. Like the Automat and the Nitro are kind of more meme weapons, and I don't think the Maynard Silence is actually that big of a deal. So I do think a lot of these weapons actually, I think making them 5 and making them not being able to carry a secondary is too big of a nerf in my opinion. I mean, other than maybe the Auto 5, that one I'd probably keep at 5, but the other ones I feel like aren't so bad. So needing Core Master for a secondary, I feel like no one's picking that shit over like a Mosin, a Labelle, you know, the stronger shit. My other thought on the loadout changes is that I feel like 5 isn't enough to differentiate the weapons. So, for example, I feel like there's 2 big groups that pile up. I don't think there's a big enough difference between, for example, I think it's, what is it? Like 1 and 2, and then like 3 and 4. I think there's some big kind of groupings there, maybe like more at 2 and then 4 or something like that. For example, I feel like 4 is just like a really saturized category of weapons. You get everything ranging from the infantry to like the Martini Henry to the Sparks to the Crag to the Mosins. So it's kind of like, I mean, obviously like a compact ammo infantry is not nowhere near as powerful as like a Mosin. And their justification for this is basically saying because they want weapons in a tier that maybe are cheaper and kind of like more accessible in a way, because they're cheaper, they're maybe like not as powerful, you know, that kind of thing. That's how they're justifying it. But in my opinion, I feel like all long ammo, not all, but a lot of it needs to be like around 4. And then the compact ammo is just usually weaker weapons. I'd be comfortable keeping a lot of them at 3. Like for example, they have the Frontier at 3, but they have like the Infantry and the Ranger at 4. And they're very similar weapons, and the way they counteracted this is by nerfing ammo counts. And they recently did that with a lot of the shotguns, like the mini shotguns. And I think that's just like such an annoying way to nerf a weapon. I understand what they're saying, because a lot of those mini shotguns have kind of been substitutes for the bigger ones, but it's just more of like a quality of life change, because a lot of people run, like me, I run ammo boxes almost on every loadout. It doesn't make a big deal, but whatever. And the other saturation is actually in, for me, like groups like 1, 2, and 3-ish, but mostly like 1 and 2. A big thing was like, for example, the uppercut, which they buffed now down after down, it does 126 damage. So that's good, but I think the grouping is like 2 to 3 actually, because there's like a lot of weapons in there that just feel kind of off. So like, I think the uppercut precisions, I know now that they're down after down, but I still feel like they're a bit too much to be a 3-slot weapon compared to like, I mean, that's the same category as like the mini Mo's and Oberez's. Wow, this video is actually going on a lot longer than I thought it was going to be me rambling. I apologize, but yeah, I feel like there's like these bulk groups with the loadouts, and I feel like they need to kind of iron it out. I don't think the Berthier should be 3. I don't think that the Lamat should be 1, which they're aware of. It's really strong. It should probably be a 2. But they also have like the Haymaker, I think, at 2. and then like the uppercut precision at 3. So it's a lot of like these weird like one-offs, and I just think they need to iron it out. But overall, I'm happy with the changes. I'm really happy with the event. Let me know what you guys think down below, hunters. But as always, see you in the bayou.